Hey everyone, welcome to the Anarchy Podcast. 99% of traders will never make consistent profits. So why listen to the 99% of advice? On this show, we're going to challenge some of the most hallowed and repeated tenets of trading. And in doing so, set you up to succeed where others fail. Spoiler alert, we don't have a secret strategy or magic wand that will let you skip out on the hard work of learning the markets. But we can debunk viewpoints that are holding you back. If that sounds good to you, come join us. Hey everyone, welcome to the Anarchy Podcast. Do you ever wish you could day trade like Tiger Woods plays golf? Well, today's show is for you. This is the first of several episodes. We're going to start a short series looking at exploring some of the similarities between trading and a few other sports/activities that you apply some of the techniques used to be successful in those to day trading. Day trading is a bit murky at times, and at the best of times. And so sometimes it's helpful to draw comparisons to things that people know and people are used to. And there's some really useful comparisons between day trading and certain sports, certain things that people are a bit more used to. And so we're going to explore some of those in this upcoming series, a few different episodes, and look at that. Today, it's golf. We're going to kind of dig into golf. If you like golf, we're going to look at how you can use the techniques you use on the course to be successful sitting in the chair looking at the charts. Jordan, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, and I'm kind of laughing here because you're talking to me about golf. But if I remember correctly, you, myself, and Dad played some golf here not too long ago, and I think you lost every single game. But that's beside the point.
Look, I'm trash at golf. Okay, I'm trash. Okay,
so we're all trash at golf.
Let's lay this out. Let me make this very clear at the beginning. I suck at golf. Okay, so
I suck only slightly less.
Yeah, but hopefully there's some people out there that are a little bit less sucky at golf, or at least like playing golf. And if you do like playing golf, or if you don't suck as bad as I do, you might find this useful. And even if you don't play golf, I think it's helpful, because I think even a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about, even if you don't play golf, kind of makes sense on a general level. And you can then use that tech. You can use the same ideas in day trading. So to start off with, golf is a sport that takes time to learn. So first rule that is going to apply from golf to day trading: golf is implicit learning. It's not explicit learning. This is something that is probably the biggest lie out there about day trading, is that it's fully rule-based, and that if you just know the rules, if you pay money to a guru and they tell you a few rules to follow, technical analysis rules, not psychology rules that we've talked about before, but if you just follow if you follow the technical analysis, that you can make money. You end the course, 30-day course with a guru, and you'll make money. It's just not true. Day trading, like golf, is implicit learning. It's not math. It's something that takes time. So if a pro golfer comes to you, or somebody who claims to be a pro golfer, and says, "Hey, give me $2,000 and I will teach you how to golf. And by the end of this course, by the end of the 30-day course, of me teaching you to golf, you'll be in the top 1% of golfers." You'd say, "Hey, stop trying to scam me, you idiot," right? Anybody with a brain would do that, because you know that you cannot, at the end of a 30-day course, doesn't matter how good your teacher is, you won't be the top 1%, right? Because golf is not, yes, they can teach you the techniques, but you can learn the techniques in a half hour, right? What takes time to be good at golf is what it takes to be good at golf is time. Yes, you need to learn the techniques, but it takes time because golf is implicitly learned. It's not fully rule-based. Yes, there are rules. Yes, there are techniques, but you then need to go put in the time. And people get this wrong. They pay for a course, they put some time in, they put 6 months, they put 100 hours in, and at the end of the time, they're not good, and then they go chasing technique, right? They're the golfer who goes buys the expensive club because he's shanking it off into the woods. Hey, bozo, the reason you're shanking it off into the woods is not because of your club, it's because you're no good. That's me, right? Like if I when I go out to the course and I shank it off into the woods, it's not because I got a bad golf club. It's just not, right? It's because I'm bad. I suck at golf. And the only way to not suck at golf is to go take a million shots on the fairway.
Yeah, and that is absolutely true, and I think you hit the nail square on the head. I would say that kind of going along with that, then the second aspect that golf and trading are similar is this. Just like in golf, you should avoid trying to change your swing too often. So this actually
Mm.
reminds me of a real story. So Levi, you and I were out at the driving range, remember a few months ago, and you're driving some balls off, and one of the elderly there gentleman there could clearly tell that we suck at golf, and he came up and was offering us some tips on how to swing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing was that he showed you how to hold your club better, he showed you how to swing better, he showed you how to stand better, how to do it properly. But guess what? In all actuality, it made you worse.
Yeah, of course.
Right
Of
now, and
course.
this is what's really funny because what you had been doing was actually working for you. It wasn't proper, it didn't look good, but it was getting the ball to go in kind of the right direction more often than not. And as soon as you changed your swing to do it more like the guru, I'm going to use that in quotes, guess what? Your play suddenly started to deteriorate. And that is the same thing when it comes to trading. A lot of times, and this happens to all of us, especially in this day and age, the wealth of information that we have at our fingertips and that we're exposed to is huge. And so it doesn't matter if
Mhm.
I try to avoid coming across different strategies and different ways to trade. The problem is anytime I scroll through Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Google, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to be having videos and ads pop up and everything popping about trading this strategy and trading this strategy. And guess what?
Mhm.
That stuff can actually start to affect how you trade just by seeing it and subconsciously absorbing it. And that's why, of course, as we mentioned in the past, having to journal, because if we don't journal, sometimes our trading can start to change because we're starting to try to trade like different gurus or like different people, and we're trying to change our strategy. And that is one of the biggest reasons that people fail is they never take the time to master that one swing.
Hi everyone, Levi here to ask you if you like what you're hearing and haven't already, consider subscribing or dropping a review. We put this information out completely free, and we'll never ask you to buy a course, pay for a Discord, or any of the other garbage you're likely to hear from everybody else. So, if you think we've earned it, we'd be in your debt. And you mentioned, switching up. The advice this guy gave was fine
Yeah,
advice,
excellent.
right?
Yeah,
Like it
he
wasn't.
was a
It's not
good
like there's
golfer.
no. Yeah, it's like not like there's no technique to make your golf better over the long run. But the
Right.
fact is, if you are changing your swing, changing stuff every time, then you're just going to be worse. So a lot of people see the 1%. Oh man, only 1% of traders are profitable as a bad thing, as really discouraging. But you can actually see that as a positive because all you have to do is be the top 1%. If you're the top 1% trader, you will make money. So you just have to be better than 99% of people. And that just takes time. So to be a professional golfer, you have to be in the top 0.001%, right? Think of all the people who golf. Now
Or
think of
yeah,
how
yeah,
many people actually make money golfing.
yeah,
It's
very
it's
few.
way less than 1%. Yeah. So to be the top golf trader to make money, you just need to be in the top 1%. And so picking that strategy, even if there are people who, hey, yeah, you need to change up your strategy. Oh, you need to wait for this, you need to wait for that. You might not need to, right? I mean, maybe you need to be, but maybe you could eventually, once you're good already, switch it, adjust your strategy. Like these pros, right? They'll tweak their swing. They'll get coaches and work. Tiger Woods rebuilt his swing from the ground up a few different times. But they're already top level, right? So if you're able to get to a point where you're already good, then tweaking your strategy can be good. But like you said, this often is just a thing that beginners do when they haven't just taken enough swings. And so they haven't picked a strategy, haven't picked a swing and just gone with it and made a bunch of swings. Instead, they try to switch up their swing every other time they go to the golf course and ends up killing them. And they don't realize why.
Yeah. And that's in kind of in relation to that. It also another correlation that was making me think of is the fact that you have different clubs for different situations, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
same thing could also be said in trading. So we have strategies, right? But just your strategy is not always going to work for certain market situations. Now, in golf, the way we handle that is we have different clubs, right? So if I'm in a sand trap, I'm not pulling out my driver and I'm not pulling out my putter. And the same thing goes. If I have a trend following strategy, I shouldn't be trading on days when the market is consolidating, right? Or
Right.
and we can. This is where we could get really complicated and saying, okay, well, maybe I have different strategies for different market conditions. Okay, maybe if you're a really advanced trader, but this is not who we're targeting right now. If you're a trader, you should have your one strategy that you're practicing, and that's it. And if that strategy doesn't fit the situation, so if you have your driver, it's like I'm going to play this hole with the driver. If you're now in a lie where you can't use your driver, or let's say you can't use your 9-iron, whatever, then you're just not going to play it. And that then goes back to, as we were discussing a few episodes back about rules, you need to have the rules that, okay, in these market conditions, I don't play because my club does not work in these conditions.
Yeah, another great analogy. Because typically when you're holding a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and so oftentimes you have a driver in your hand and you're on the green and you're like, I'll just tap it in with the driver. Like you'd call that person crazy. It's like no, either get a putter out or sit this one out. In the markets, we often don't get the chance or we don't have the time to become really, really good at multiple different strategies. So you pick a strategy that's good in a specific set of circumstances, say a driver, which is good on a driving range, on a, sitting up on a pin. Um, if you have something that works well in a trend, only trade on the trends. It's really hard to do. It's really hard to do. And that's part of learning discipline. I remember the first time I ever sat out a day,
I know. I
which is
remember you
not
called me up. I was like, Jordan, you were
yeah,
so proud. Like it's so cool. You're like, Jordan, guess what? I sat out an entire trading day without trading, and that
yeah,
was like huge. That was awesome.
it was big. It was the first time I'd ever done it, which was like you sit there, you don't see the market working like you typically are used to. And it's so hard because every time the market moves is an opportunity to make money. Like there's so many opportunities to make money, but the strategy that you're good at and you've trained your eye to see, those setups, they don't appear. And so learning to, as in golf, pick the correct club for the correct circumstance, like you said, learning to do that in day trading is crazy important. Learn to know when to use which club, learn to know when to sit out and when your strategy works and when it doesn't work. That's huge. What I wanted to end on with golf, the last similarity, is that golf is a game of feel. When you're beginning to golf or when you're beginning to trade, when you're beginning to anything, you have to think about everything. You have to think, my hands are in the correct position, my feet are X amount apart, my toes are correct. Like you're thinking about everything. Oh, when my backswing, go back slowly and then drive through, pivot the hips, twist up on the toe. Like you're thinking through everything. But when you think through everything, you're not going to be good. The whole point of training and getting really good is to where you don't have to think, right? The best golfers right now, they don't think about where to hold the club and how far apart to put their feet. They don't think about all that stuff. A beginner has to, but by practicing a lot, you get to a point where you don't have to. And that's where success comes from. Similar in day trading, it's a feel-based game. Yes, you're going to have to follow and learn discipline. You're not just randomly taking trades. That's not what I'm saying. But the real goal of day trading is to get to a point where you can follow all your rules, you can follow your strategy without having to think, without having to, get down into the weeds, where it just becomes second nature. And you know what that takes? I know nobody wants to hear it.
Reps. It takes
It
reps.
reps. It takes time. The only way to get to a point where you're not thinking about driving is by driving a whole ton,
Going to the
right?
driving range and hitting buckets and buckets and buckets
Yeah.
of balls.
And that's the biggest similarity between golf and day trading. The only way to get good at both is to practice a lot and to do it a lot in similar circumstances, right? Like we talked about prop firms the other day, playing with real stakes.
Yeah,
And
because
if
let's
you
be
can do
honest, if
that,
you're just used to hitting balls at the range, and then you go into a tournament or you have a bet with a buddy where there's $100 a hole or something, it's going to change how you swing too. So
yeah,
practicing in the conditions that you're going to be competing in this case, trading in, essential.
yeah, and that's and again, that's actually a positive. It's a really encouraging way of looking at it. If you know that trading is just a matter of reps and a matter of time, then getting into the top 1% is just a matter of time. Like, are there other things you've gotten in the top 1% of? Maybe, right? Let's say you're a gamer and you're the top 1%, whatever, a Mario Brothers player. Who knows? Um, then well, how did you get there? By time, right? Like, if it's just the way to do that is just a bunch of practice, you can then look at day trading and go, oh, well, I can get in the top 1% of day traders. I just need to put more time in than everybody else. And if you do that, if you look at trading like golf, then you're going to be in a real good shape. You're going to have the right psychology behind it, and you have the patience to get through the tough times, get through the losing streaks, get through those times where you're shanking it off into the woods every other drive, and you can keep your eyes on the prize and get to a point where you're profitable.